will come through. Now, the quality of the picture will be whatever the quality of the broadband is in your office. It can be good or bad, but it's not critical. So we're live right now. We're behind the scenes.
Okay.
So what I do want to do is try to get right into the questions.
Sure.
But first thing I have to adjust this. Our sound, my sound looks really good here.
That's my sound.
And I can cut this out too. Oh, hold it. Yeah, you got the right. You understand. It can be about 4 to 6 inches away from it.
About this probably one testing. Probably good.
Right there.
Right there.
Let's pull it right there.
Okay.
You got it. Microphone discipline is really good. These are dynamic mics. They only pick up sound from around.
Okay. Sounds good.
And I can latch that one on. They're not really expensive, but they work really well.
Okay, that's super.
So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And then you got good sound. 1, 2. You can just stay where we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I gotta watch it, but when I'm looking at you, but I don't mess up my sound.
Okay.
And then the camera. It's best that we get the camera looking just at you.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
You're so welcome.
I used to. These makes a little bit of noise, but I'm not worried about it. It's natural noise when it's at the table. So we're upset. We're actually broadcasting. Now, just a thought before we go. Now, I interviewed Hillary. You know, I'll send those links both to you at the same time we get them. And at the end, I'm going to say the same thing I said to her when you're mayor, because I always being positive on both sides.
Yeah.
So, this is going out live to anyone who wants to pick it up around the world.
Okay.
Actually, in Afghanistan, every once in a while somebody pops it up, but I didn't send out any invitation, so no one knows about it. So they have to stumble across it. But it will go right to YouTube. And just my notification right there says I'm supposed to be interviewing right now.
Okay.
So we're live, and you'll see this, and I might tune a little bit, but usually I don't. This is behind the scenes. The main element's the podcast. So I'm going to turn the podcast. This is my last adjustment, and this will go onto iTunes. Pretty powerful stuff. And we're both baby boomers.
Right.
But my son is 28. He's a civil engineer.
Is he really?
He's a graduate from the Coast Guard Academy as a civil engineer and
good for him.
Marine civil engineer on top of that.
Love it.
In San Francisco and working on projects in the Bay.
Yeah, I did a lot of work in the Bay, so I'd love to talk to him about some of the slope stability analysis I did on Bay mud and things of that nature. I really like
that's what I did at senior project.
Yeah.
He was great education. He knew. So, and I'm
a lot of fun.
Yeah. So we like engineering. Okay. What I'm doing now is just checking my levels here. I want to talk one more time.
Okay.
Just talk to me. How long you started your business? About 77?
Exactly. I started my business in 1977 and I incorporated in 1978.
Okay. Well, I just started. Our sounds look really good, so I'm going to start right away.
Okay. Sounds good.
Amazing. It was a good tune. Let me just check that's up. It's hitting. Let's see. One more test. Just 78 you started?
78. Well, I actually started in 77 and incorporated in 78. So when you look up at the state, you go, well, hey, Ray said 77, but it actually shows I looked into it in 78. But I incorporated in 78. We had to incorporate back in those days because everybody's worried about legal things.
I was incorporated once. So let me just do it. Ray Pezonella. I said your name correct, right?
Correct.
Okay, now we're going to actually start the show. Okay, this is Bill. Let me start again. You can now, another thing, if you want to pause for the podcast, just say pause and ask me to re-ask the question.
Okay.
So, Ray, welcome to Timelines of Success.
Well, thank you very much. And it's wonderful to be here. And it's wonderful to work with you and your listeners and people watching us on iTunes or whatever it is. So I'm excited. This is all new technology to me. I appreciate it.
Ray, I know you're a really, really busy guy because you are running your business. And we're going to talk about what your business does, but you're also running for mayor. But let's mostly talk about your business and how you get to where you are today. So tell us, what does your business do and what do you do?
Well, I'm a geotechnical engineer, and what that is a fancy name for soils engineers back in the days. And what we do here is we perform a lot of testing. We started in 1977, been in business for 37 years. I mainly hire geologists, civil engineers with the emphasis in geotechnical. And what we're all about is foundation designs and dealing with soils. We're the group that goes out before anything's built. And when somebody says, hey, I want to build a building on that location. And I say, okay, well, let's take a look at what the soils look like to see if we got expanse of soils, right, or some kind of anomaly that would stop you from having to move ahead. So we go out and take our drill rig and we grab samples and we go to various depths and bring back, and we got a complete lab here, soils lab, and we test the soils and determine the parameters, engineering parameters of the materials, and we write a report and tell people, hey, you can do it or you can't do it, or you got to do this to accomplish that. And it's deep. Like your son, you were telling me, was a civil engineer, and he understands piles and deep foundations, as we call them, and shallow foundations and over excavations and PT slabs. There's a lot of ways to overcome the adversities that you may encounter on a project site. So, that's one of our big aspects. But then the other thing, I could talk for a while, but the other aspect of it is we also do a lot of construction testing, and we're very involved in compliance. So when somebody goes to build a building, they have a set of plans that the structural engineer, the architect, mechanical, electrical, all the engineers have got involved in the plans. And it's our job to make sure that the concrete meets the compressive strength, the welding is done properly, the reinforcing steel is properly placed and is properly sized, and it has the proper properties that are supposed to be in there. So we make sure that the building's built in accordance with plans and specifications, and we do that quite a bit. So those are two big aspects of what we do here.
Now, what type of licenses do you have to have?
You have to have a professional engineering license, which I hold in about 5 western states and 1 eastern state.
I saw that, the PE.
Yeah, you have to have your PE.
How do you ever do that?
It's tough. I'll tell you,
in one state.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot of work to maintain all your licensings anymore. But I'm a licensed civil engineer. Let's just talk about Nevada. I'm a licensed civil engineer, and that allows me to open a business like this. You have to be a professional engineer to own a professional engineering company. The other thing is you care about what you're doing. So the state of California is always kind of unique, and they seem to lead things once in a while. And what they've done is they've actually allowed you to become a registered geotechnical engineer. So they hold you to a higher level, like a structural engineer is a special license. Well, I went and got that geotechnical engineer. So I'm also a licensed geotechnical engineer in the state of California, and so I hold some dual license from that standpoint. And I'm also in Oregon. They actually licensed me as an environmental engineer. So state of Nevada doesn't have that. They have a certified environmental manager, but they don't have an environmental engineer. So I hold 3 different types of license in different states.
That is a lot of professional licenses and a lot of work. Now, I went back and looked at your background. You went to school in San Francisco.
I did.
And you didn't get your engineer. You get your engineering.
I got my Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering at Hill Engineering College. I did. I got my Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering.
Okay. Did you go to Reno also?
I also went to University of Nevada, Reno. I did, and I took graduate studies under Dr. Bonnell, John Bonnell, the most wonderful man in my life. And I got to tell you, he basically molded me to what I am today, to be the geotechnical engineer that I am today. That man was so incredibly intelligent and had a complete understanding of the science. And you know how you look back in your life and certain people turn you on, kind of get you going in a direction, say, hey, I really enjoy this because the individual is teaching you. I think that happens to the young kids in today's world when they're taking classes and all of a sudden there's a teacher that they just seem to click with. Exactly. And that's what gets them going in certain directions. I mean, all of a sudden you got a great math teacher, you love math. If you got a great English teacher, you love English. And so when you connect with somebody, it makes it big. I connected with Dr. Bonnell, and he was very instrumental. I did not get my master's. I probably got enough credits to go.
Oh, you got your licenses.
That's all you need. You need your license, and you got to have your Bachelor of Science. You got to, have schooling.
So what did you study in your master's? Was it just strictly civil?
Just strictly geotechnical.
Geotechnical. Well, now online, you can do so much online now too.
We didn't have that back in the 60s and 70s.
And you can move and do so many different things. It's changed so much overnight. Literally changed in the last 10 years, and that's overnight. In the last 5 years.
I know, and that's true. Isn't it amazing how time goes so fast and you realize it's like overnight? It really is.
It is. Yeah. It moves fast.
Fast, really fast.
So, you're in San Francisco. Where'd you grow up? What area?
I was born in San Francisco, and I lived in South San Francisco as a young man, a young kid, until I was probably just finishing junior high school. And then my dad and our family moved to Northern California. We lived in Rohnert Park. I went to Petaluma High School. My wife actually went to Anley High School in Sebastopol, California.
And that's not too far.
No, not at all. Very closely. And so we moved up just to 60 miles north of San Francisco. My dad was a barber. He would cut hair.
That's a beautiful area.
Yeah,
San Francisco, and then to live up north is gorgeous.
It is.
It would cost you a fortune.
Oh, I know. My wife lived in Sebastopol, which is really a yuppie kind of an area. It's kind of boutique and kind of nice. But Yeah, we moved up there, and then my dad actually went on to Sonoma State College and got his degree for teaching, and so he
Oh, wow.
understood education very well. But all my brothers became barbers. I'm kind of telling you stuff out of school here that probably a lot of people don't know about me. But my brothers all went to my dad and worked at the barber shop. And my middle brother, Dave, he was the youngest barber in the state of California when he got his license as a barber. And then my dad, it was my turn. And I said, Dad, I can't do it. And boy, my dad felt an old Italian coming over from Italy.
Was he your first generation?
Yes, exactly. When he came over from Italy, his understanding was you get a trade. You can do anything you want after you get the trade, because the trade is the opportunity of a lifetime. Because you can always. My dad was. I can still remember him. He passed away here just a couple of years ago, but I can remember in my ear all the time, son, you got to have a trade. Learn to cut hair, and you'll always be able to put food on the table. You can always fall back on that.
Oh, that's a good learning point. You should always have a trade and your tools.
Exactly.
You have to have the tools of the trade.
And
those
see,
two things.
The old Italians truly believe that. My dad went on and got an education, and he went on to teach school in Redding, California. And
what made him do that? I'm curious.
My dad was always instrumental in trying to get education. It was very important for us to get educated. And my dad went to San Mateo Junior College. I can remember when he was working as a barber in the peninsula, and he would go to classes at night, and then he would then he went on to like I said, Sonoma State, and he always was involved in taking classes a little at a time until he finally, I think he had to be in his 50s by the time he got his degree. And
he went to teach.
He went to teach, and he always loved teaching. He loved working with people. And
did he continue to cut hair at all?
He did up until he went to move up to Redding and started teaching. And he, matter of fact, he taught there at a junior high school I think he retired out of there. So he was teaching until he was in the late 70s, or probably early 70s. I'd say late 60s, early 70s.
So I guess that you grew up with an entrepreneur father, having a barbershop of his own?
Yes, very much so.
And so you had a traditional barbershop?
Yeah, my mother was the beautician. They had a barbershop and a beauty shop right next door together.
Separated, or were they?
Yeah, well, they were affiliated, but they were just two shops right next door. The gals, they don't do what they do in today's world.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Guy's barbershop.
Exactly. So, yeah, and so my dad was very instrumental in making sure the education. What I was alluding to earlier when I was telling you that is you should have seen my look on my dad's face when I said, Dad, I don't want to go to barber's college and to get my trade. I want to go on to engineering. And he said, son, that's not a good thing to do. He says, wait until you
get one trade down.
Exactly, and then go do whatever you want to do. But so I broke the mold, because his father was a barber. His father was a barber. It was in our middle. Oh, it was total
art in itself.
It really is. It really is. So it's kind of fun watching. So I'm the first.
And you got a good haircut too. I was looking at.
Haircuts are very important. I'll be honest with you. My dad, I got the local guy here, my boy Andy, and I'll tell you something. It's very important to us and to be properly groomed. My dad did teach us how important that was. So.
Yeah, very good. So we sidetracked a little bit. That's not normal, and that's we're 8 minutes, so we're about halfway through the first section.
Okay.
But going back to your college days, how did you pick San Francisco to go to school?
My dad looked at it. I wanted to really play football at Pacific, and I was looking.
Good school. Good
I was looking to go. I was looking to go there. And, I got to tell everybody that's out there, I'm just a truthful guy, and I just tell you like it is. If it wasn't for football in high school, I wouldn't have made it through high school, to be honest with you, because I had to maintain a C average. But when I tried to get into colleges, and I couldn't get in, so I was looking around for a school that would help me with. I love math and sciences. I'm not a great English kind of guy, and that's not my forte. But I got everybody in here that's really got Johnny in here that takes care of that stuff for me. But
you're an entrepreneur. You can get the right people in the right place.
That's what you do. I explain that stuff to you real easy. That's how I make everything work. But like I said, I got a chance, and I found a place that would take me, and I buckled down and did the right things.
You played football.
I buckled and I went back down. And
what did you play in high school?
I played offensive guard and tackle, and then I also played. My big thing was defensive. I was a nose guard all the time. Very quick for a big guy. Weighed about 235 back in the 60s when I played.
Hit in the head every play.
Oh yeah, it's fun. It was fun. I love football, and I'll talk more about football, because my life, everything I do is around the game. It really is, and I talk and I've coached on all levels, and I can tell you I love talking to you about this stuff. But there's a lot to go with that. That really, football to me is what life is about. Everyday life is about football. We can go into all aspects of that.
Let's go into running a business. What's it take to run this business? You said it. You started to get clues. You have to delegate. You have to find the right people. How do you do that?
You know, what you do is the most important thing, Bill, is you make sure that you have people that strengthen the weaknesses that you have. And that's the same thing you do on a football team. I mean, and in coaching. I learned that. I've coached, as a matter of fact, I've coached for a lot of years. I've coached almost every level. I coached at Pop Warner. I know there's tons of kids that know me in this area because they still come up to me. They're all Dell Scout kids. And they say, Coach, I remember you from the 70s. But I coached at McQueen High School. I coached at Sparks High School. I coached the Pyro Pigs. I coached a semi-pro team. So I enjoyed really football in understanding how that interacts with your whole life, to say. And what you do is you have to strengthen it. The same thing with a football coach. If you don't know the defense real well, you get yourself the best defensive coordinator you can because you really know offense. And that blend makes you successful. Business is a lot like that. Business is a lot like that. Get people around you that you can feel very comfortable with. And I'll tell people right now, the most important thing in business in today's world is to make sure you treat people the way you want to be treated. The client's always right. Never forget that. My dad taught me that a long time ago, and it's true. Even if they're not right, they're always right. You want to take care of them, listen to their whatever their problems are, take care of those right away. Don't let nothing fester. Always make sure you're on top of it all the time. But an aspect of your business is the people you have. People either make you or break you. And I can tell you stories after story after story after 37 years how important that is.
Very good. So it's all about people.
It is truly about people.
And how you pick the right people.
You know, what you do is, I get a kick out of it. I'm glad you asked these questions because they're good questions. And I spend a lot of time. Any interview I have with an individual is kind of unique. And there's no such thing as one interview with Ray Pezonella. It's going to be a 3-interview system. And let me explain how it goes. The first time we sit down, I want to know all about you and your family. I want to know about what you do, how you do it. I want to know about you. I want to know about the person. I already understand. I looked at your resume. You already told me that you went to school. You already told me that you have this degree, and you already told me that your expertise is this, and this. But that's not what matters. What matters is the person inside and where you came from and what's your origin and what you stand for and what you believe in. And so I spend about half an hour, 45 minutes talking just about the individual and getting to know that person. The second interview, I always tell them, we got a chance to talk. I tell them about me and what I believe in and what my beliefs are. And
those are hard times. That's congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Not in construction. I happen to have a little bit of background in construction. It seems like 25% of my good friends have had to go bankrupt.
I know
it's hard, and they're good people. It's a hard business, and especially the contractors and the developers. It's a tough business. As you know,
you can go a little deeper now. I know 2 people that committed suicide.
I know one.
Okay.
And he worked for me, formally broke off. I don't like to go into those details, but
I don't do that either. But that's what we're talking about. Yeah. Depth of the situation that's occurred.
Yeah.
I know two suicides because attributable totally to our downturn in our economy.
That's hard. It's hard, but that's you know what I would say. You can't climb out of it unless you fight.
Exactly.
You got to work.
You got to get up every morning. You got to believe in yourself, and you got to keep going. And you just keep working and be truthful and honest to people. If you can't make a payment or you can't do something, let them know. I teach my kids that every day. Let people know where you stand. Whatever happens, happens, but at least you're forthright and you tell people where you're at.
So we have to transition to 2 more areas. There's a good transition. I want to talk just a little bit about your family and why you're learning from there. But how did you get from California into Reno, Nevada?
Actually, I went to work out of college when I finished school. I went to work for a company called Harding Miller Lawson & Associates. And I had never planned. I wanted to be a sanitary engineer when I first came out of college. That was my interest because I worked at the Public Works Department as a young man at the city of Roanoke Park. My dad was, I don't want to tell too many people, my dad was actually mayor of Roanoke Park. So it's kind of in the blood.
Your dad was mayor?
Yes, he was when he was.
How big was Roanoke Park?
It was I'd say about 4,000 people at the time. It was a very, very small incorporated city. And so he allowed me to work and learn under Paul Wiggins, which is the public works director. And I got to work in the sewer treatment plant and, see some people and do some things. So I got interested.
Generation. How old was your dad when he came?
My dad was, he was in his teens.
Was he already a barber?
Yes, he'd already,
So he went right to work.
Oh, right to work.
Wow, your dad's, how old did he live to be?
He was 84 when he passed away.
What a story.
Yeah, he's a wonderful man. I miss him tremendously. I lost both my mom and dad, and
That's part of
it's
life.
tough. Yeah,
But if you live into your 80s, you know that's a good life.
yeah, it's exactly
Good
right.
life.
A good life. They did really well.
Sorry to interrupt you. So
no, I was going to say.
got
So I went to work for Harding Miller Lawson, and back in 1969, 70, it was very difficult to get a job. And I had an opportunity, and I wanted to find this sanitary engineering job. I couldn't find it, so I went to Santa Fe, California. You might know it.
Yes,
and this company, Harding Miller Lawson, hired me, and I went to work for them, and came up the hard way. Went out in the field and understood how to get on the drill rig and do compaction tests. Work in the lab and do the things I needed to do, and it's helped me. Exactly, learn my skill set and do the right things. And so they hired me, and that turned me on to geotechnical. And then I stayed with them for about 8 or 9 years. And then they transferred me to Reno because they wanted me to work in their office.
And what year was that?
That was in 1960.
60s.
Wow. When I came here in '69, working part-time, and then I started working for them in 1970. Okay, so I started working for them up here in 1970. I was a chief field engineer when I first came here for them, and that's what transferred me from the Bay Area to Reno. And then Nancy and I were talking about we wanted to go back because we both loved California, and so we were going to go up here for 5 years. Well, let me tell you, after a couple of years, I got to tell you the truth. Nancy missed the trees and stuff from the beautiful. But once we got here, we were not leaving.
Okay, you have kids, right?
Yes, I have 4 children.
You've been married 40-some-odd years.
46
years.
Your kids? My kids range from my son's 46. My daughter, I got 1 son and 3 daughters, and they range from 46 down to 37.
Okay, so they're all grown.
They're all grown. They all have their degrees. I made sure their education. My dad taught me that, and I'm selfish with that because I figured if I educated my kids, my grandkids would be going in the right direction, and so that's what was important to me and my grandkids.
Education breaks the cycle of poverty too.
There's no question.
The difference gives you a great.
There's no. You can't take education away from anybody.
Right, you got it. You can't.
Once you have it, you have it.
So now I'm going to lead on to your commercial. You didn't know this, but anytime I interview someone from Reno, and it's about 1 out of 5 people, by the way. Most people are outside. I asked them to do a commercial for Reno, why it's a great place to live here.
Reno, it's very simple. I love this place. And the reason why you love this place is because, first off, you can talk about the environment. You can't beat it. I mean, you got beautiful sunshine every morning. You get up, you got a smile on your face. But then when you start digging into the depths, and I've been here 45 years, I guess. But since I'm running for mayor, I got to tell you a little bit more about that. But when you start realizing, and I coach Pop Warner, and I've gotten involved in service organizations, and you start dealing with the engineering groups and the other people and the architects, this is the most wonderful set of people. I mean, the people of Truckee Meadows, they don't get any better than this. They're truly individuals that care about where they live. They care about their next door neighbor. They care. We made so many friends, so many opportunities, and people have just blessed me from a standpoint of my business. When I opened my business, as long as you kept your nose clean and worked hard like your dad taught you, you know what? Good things happen. Definitely happens in the Truckee Meadows because of the people. Again, your business is about people. Communities are about people.
Explain to our listener, what is Truckee Meadows?
Truckee Meadows to me, and I love using that term because a lot of people don't use that enough. And I think it's Reno, Sparks, and Washoe County, all the way down to Washoe Valley. And to me, it's the whole area of Truckee Meadows, from all the way from Cold Springs all the way down to Washoe, and it takes in all the way up towards the border to the west, Boomtown and the rest of it. Where it opens up and goes all the way to where it kind of closes the gap out there on Vista. You know what I'm saying? Way out there.
That's good to clarify.
Yeah.
Because people come here, the insiders know what Truckee Meadows is.
Yeah, we do. And we just love the Truckee Meadows.
We people who live here.
Right. Right. And it's always been, to me, I use it all the time.
It's a good name. And the horses graze. So it's a lot of horses grazing are in the old days. They still graze a lot.
They sure do. You can
down.
ask several people who live in Hidden Valley and several of the areas and, down on Toll Road. And I guarantee those people tell you all about the horses still grazing on their properties.
So that's good. That's good. So
it is.
With your commercial, you love it. The people, you can find those communities in other places too.
Yeah, you can. But you know what? The slogan, the biggest little city, is really a true one because it is, as we grow, we're still, every day, you're reminded of how much this is a small city because it's all intertwined. When I talk to one person today, I'll realize that when we start talking that I know their families, their kids, they've been involved. And if you've been here for a while, you can see very simply that you better always treat people right because there's always people that their families have, been put together kind of thing over the years.
You caught on the numbers. It really is the biggest little city. I came from Modesto, which is about the same size city, but we don't have an international airport.
I know.
Amazing airport.
I know. I love that airport. I've been talking about it, and everything I do, to me, that's why I want to be the leader, because they truly understand what we have there. We have a gem.
Sacramento.
We have the university. We have
the university.
I mean, we have the. I told Nancy when we used to have exchange students stay with us from Italy, and the first thing we'd do is take them up to the university. You should have seen the eyes open when they see what a beautiful university we have. And a lot of people don't understand what we have here, right in our backyard. That's available to us every day. And
a small university. I mean, it's a large university.
Tier 1.
A small plot of land, really.
Right,
I mean,
it is.
But we still have the ag extensions.
Right. Yeah, we do, and that's right around the corner from us.
There's a lot of space there.
It really is. So there's just so much to offer here, and as we get the culture and arts, and we got the art town going on, we got so many events that we got people coming in for. We can't beat what we have. There's nobody. You can move away, but I guarantee you're coming back.
You know what? Kids come back
all the time.
That's the first thing. From Modesto, the kids get educated, they don't come back. And that's brain drain.
You can't have that. We need to bring trust, and we need to bring them in here and have a group of people.
Well, I think it's happening right now.
I do. You know what? We're on the verge. We're right there. So
it's going to take a lot of planning.
Yes, it is.
A lot of good detail.
Good, and that's well said, because that's what an engineer is all about. So
now you can lead into, why in the world are you running for mayor? You know how hard it is. It's, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, it's the hardest political job in the United States. The president is harder, but I guarantee you, other than the president of the United States, it's the hardest. It's belly-to-belly politics. You can't go out to the store. You got to look nice every time you go out.
Right.
Everyone knows who you are.
Right. I think it's a good point.
So why are you running for mayor? This is off the course. You have a successful business.
I'll be honest with you. I've never been in politics. From a standpoint of, and I hate to use that term, I'll not be honest with you, because then was I dishonest before? No, I'm not. I'm just telling you that's a cliche, and I'm just saying this.
You've never been elected to office.
I've never been elected. I've never run for office in my life, and I've always been one of those individuals that write to Jackson.
Well, you said you had to pay attention because you had to go to planning.
Exactly, I go to planning meetings, and
all the way up. That's a lot of work.
I've dealt with that all the time, and so I thought that I would never have to run for an office, because I figured people would take care of it. We'd have the right people doing the right things that wanted to do that kind of stuff. It never really interested me. So here's the big thing with me, is the fact that all of a sudden the leadership wasn't there that I thought was the most critical time. Bob Pichel's done one heck of a job, and after 12 years termed out, we needed somebody to step in to be able to grab the reins and keep the horses moving in the right direction. And that's what it's about for me right now, is I really want to run because how much I love this community and how much it means to me. And I'm selfish. And I'm going to tell you why I'm selfish. I want my grandkids to be able to find jobs here and stay here so I can enjoy them the rest of my life with my wife, their grandmother. And by being selfish, I'm also caring about each individual in this, because you want to keep your grandkids here. So if I keep mine here, you'll keep yours here, and they can start working. And they deserve to have the opportunity to live like we've lived in the most beautiful city in the world. And it's not right for us not to do correct things to allow them to be able to continue getting jobs, get educated at the university, and finding a good paying job. So a mayor is really important right now. And because of the importance, and I felt that, and I keep saying there's nothing better than an engineer at this point in time, when we talk about innovation and technology. And I know those words are thrown out all the times, but the true aspect of innovation is to coming up with new things, ways to create obstacles and overcome those obstacles. So we need somebody, and I truly believe that I'm the best person for the job right now, not maybe 10 years past or maybe 10 years in the future, but for right now, I'm perfect for this job because of my technical background, because of what I understand and what I can get accomplished. And being in business 37 years has given me the experience to understand what I had to deal with from insurances to regulatory.
It's grown, hasn't it? 37 years. It's
all those
more complex,
way more
all the way
complex.
across.
And I understand that. I understand personnel. I understand what they're thinking, how they think, and what you got to do, and how you have to take care of people, and what it matters to step up and say hi to people in the mornings. When I come in here every morning, I love to say hi to every one of them, make sure they all know how much they mean to me. I want to do the city. I want to build that cohesive unit. I want to build a unity. I look at it this way. I'm going to build a unity from the council to the staff to the community. So if I can get a nice unified group working together, and that comes back to football, what you got to have. You can't get nothing done with 11 guys on a field unless they're all working in unison. If not, one guy go off doing something by himself, I guarantee you, you're not going to get it done. It requires 11 guys focused with intensity, doing the right things, and being a cohesive unit and moving ahead. And that's what I can do.
Very good. Sounds good. Well, this is not politics, but since you're running for mayor, we had to throw that in.
And I appreciate that. I think that's great.
We're going to ask a quick bottom line upfront questions. That's
Okay.
the first part. That's the main part of the show, is that first section. But now it's a fun part for me. So what type of phone and computer do you use? You got the iPhone.
I got the iPhone. Yeah, the girls are.
You know what? And that's what I recommend. That's one thing I do to try to help the baby boomers go in the right direction. You got the iPhone. That's a good place to start.
I do. I have the old iPhone. I've enjoyed it. Just I use it. I probably don't use it to all its technology.
Your company has PCs because engineering.
That's exactly right. They have to. Yeah.
And you have to have PCs because of your AutoCAD.
Exactly. All that works. All the functions work off AutoCAD, and everything we have is basically AutoCAD.
But for communication systems and processes, Apple's really.
I think Apple's really works out good. Got my wife an iPad, and we're learning that a little bit, and she uses.
You guys are perfect.
Yeah.
So you do the iPhone, the iPad.
Right.
You might want to stop. That's
it works great. It works great for what we're accomplishing. So
we got we have an Apple store here too.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
And a free Genius Bar. People don't realize you can go there for free for 15 minutes and they'll fix everything and look at it.
I know.
It's cool.
Right. I love it. Yeah, we got some great opportunities here. The trouble with me is I don't probably use all the technology you need because I get into that depth.
You don't need it all, but you need some of it.
You do.
Yeah,
as long as you know what to do, it works out pretty good.
So what is your favorite technology, especially as an engineer? And I know you talked about the slide rule.
I did. I used a slide rule when I was going to school. So that's great technology. So that leads right into your answer to your question is calculator. I think that was the greatest thing that ever happened.
I remember when I was a little kid, I saw that first little handheld calculator.
To me, that the calculator is the key because that's the one that helped me the most, and I still use the calculator. So he went from slide rule to calculator. So
yeah, that's good. And you got an iPhone, so
yeah, I do.
And it's got a calculator on it.
It does. I didn't realize it until I started looking at it. It does have a calculator. It's got an in-depth one too.
So what is your favorite quote?
I guess the favorite quote is. Let me just think a second. I would say probably when the going gets tough, the tough gets going.
That's a good quote.
It really is.
I expected a Vince Lombardi quote, but that's a good quote.
Vince Lombardi. I think of Vince Lombardi all the time, and I think about his offenses, and that's what I read a lot. When
you were growing up, Vince Lombardi was.
He was Green Bay Packers. That the sweep. Just say it like it is. The sweep that he ran. I just admire the man when he would say, he ran that over and over and over again with his players. And that to him was a play that he would say to the defense, I'm going to run the sweep to the right. Stop me. And the Green Bay Packers were so, their intensity and the way they actually played out that, they were just to perfection.
Right.
I mean, they could just go ahead and make the blocks that they needed to make, and you couldn't stop them even if you knew it was coming.
Yeah, I think the members on his team paid the price. You had to be there. You had to be good.
Their execution was phenomenal.
So the last question is, What is your favorite book and author, or do you have a favorite book and author?
The last book I read is Heaven is Real, and I don't read a lot of. To be honest with you listeners and stuff, I don't do a lot of sitting down and just reading. I don't find myself to find time because I read so much technical books. Staying up with engineering, it is advanced so quickly.
Yes, it is.
And I pride myself in at least getting the technical books, understanding what's here today. And I have also materials testing labs. So
I know you have your labs.
And so
you have them in house.
Exactly. So when you ask me that, I read constantly at home, and I read all the time to maintain a proficiency. And so of understanding, I think we all owe that to whatever we do. Don't you think? Exactly. You got to know what's going on. And so I would say I'd like, as I retire and I'm done with things, I'll probably read some Clancy stuff, and I'll probably read some, just enjoy some books and stuff that you can go off into. But right now, between grandkids and
I'll give you the code book. That's your favorite book.
There you go.
That's not the uniform building code.
No, there you go. I love it.
So, very good. So, together, what do you enjoy doing when you're not running your business, I guess coaching could be enjoyment. But you're not doing that. Or running for mayor. What do you enjoy doing with your family?
That's a very good question, and I really enjoy. There's so many things that I do. I'm a pilot, by the way, and I love flying. And I've been a pilot since 1974, and I love to. We have one of our kids live in Las Vegas. Julia, she has three of our grandkids down there. So Nancy and I like to go down there quite often.
That beats 95.
Yes, it does. And so
it's nice flight. It's a safe flight. So
it is. It really is nice. It's very comforting, and it's a way to clear your mind. You got to focus on what you're doing when you're in a plane, and it gives you that opportunity to get everything out of your head.
That's great.
And it does give me that opportunity to feel good about just getting out and doing some things.
I've never heard that's wonderful.
It is.
Have you ever done sailplane?
That's got to be really tranquil because there's no engine involved. It's got to be very quiet. It'd be like being in a balloon.
They do some sailplane.
Yeah, they do out of Gardnerville. They do a lot of sailplaning. I've talked to a couple guys that hold records of being able to stay up because we got the mountains, and we're the best area ever for sail.
Right. No.
Because you got the updrafts, and you can stay up for long periods of time.
Very good. So that's I like that. That's a good thing to do flying.
Thank you.
I haven't heard that one. And 100 interviews.
Okay. Yeah, but I do really love that.
So in closing, for the listener, what's the most important takeaway for their life? I mean, this is not about politics. What's the most important advice you would give them?
This one is pretty sensitive to me, but since I've been running for mayor, and you got to understand, you got to have thick skin because you've been in politics. And every morning, my wife gives me a kiss, and she looks at me and she says, "Remember to be true to yourself." That is the most in-depth thing, and I remember that all during the day because she knows I'm going to go through trials and tribulations, but she looks me in the eyes and she says, "Just be true to yourself." That's
the advice. Be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself.
Very good. Very good. So how can we reach you? You got your site. We'll have that up on the notes.
Okay.
It's Pez.
Pez for Mayor.
Pezformayor.com.
Pezformayor.com. You can get a hold of me at the Pezonella Associates. You can call me anytime you want. You can call me on my cell. You can call me cells 775-742-4196. The office phone 775-856-5566. You can go online and go onto my email is ray@pezonella.com. That's my own personal email, so I get that here at the office. I'm an open book. You can whatever you want to do with me is fine.
Now, in closing, that's about it for the interview. But I'm always asked one last question.
Sure.
And one last question is, what's your favorite food?
Well, that's really simple. It's the one that gets me in trouble. And I'm a little bit bigger guy, as you notice, my stature is such that I'm kind of.
You look like you lost weight during this campaign.
I have.
I know you'll lose weight.
I lost over 130 pounds.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's amazing. And I just came from Dr. Sassy this morning because he's working with me to help me to make sure that I'm.
Tell because you're not.
Yeah, and I really lost a lot of weight. But that's got a lot to do with walking door to door. I never walked so much in my life.
Wow. You are walking door to door.
Oh, lit 10,000 houses since primary started. But that's not all me doing that. I don't misrepresent myself.
With teams.
With teams. And we've done a lot of door to door. And so
So you're out there with your team.
I'm out there all the time. And we meet and we go. And to me, if you're going to do a campaign, you're going to do it right. And the ground roots and getting the boots on the ground is what it's all about. And so, but my favorite food is pasta, spaghetti, and meatballs. And my mom used to make that every Sunday, and that was our family dinner. And to this day, it's definitely I could sit down. It's comfort food.
So it's your family food.
Yeah, exactly. If you sit down,
so your wife got that recipe down?
Yes, she does, and it's wonderful. And if we sit down and have spaghetti and meatballs and some garlic bread and some glass of wine.
That makes me hungry right now.
Oh, it's to me, when I see that, it just relaxes you. It's a relaxing food. It's just, it makes you feel good.
So what's your dessert when you're done with that wine? Wine, dark chocolate, something?
My favorite, my son loves pies, but the German chocolate cake is a big, I don't know whatever got turned me onto that, but I love a German chocolate cake. And good ones are hard to find, but I'll tell you something. A good German chocolate cake is very good. Cheesecake isn't bad either. I mean, a good cheesecake, but my Nana used to make some of those, so it was great.
So I appreciate the interview, and I know you have a busy schedule running your business. I know up to the last minute you're running your business.
Yes.
I was listening and watching. You weren't running the campaign, you run your business.
I do. 25% of the time I run the business, 75% I run the campaign, but I still have to run the business.
Yeah, understand.
So
very good. Well, thank you, Ray.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's turn this off, and we're still broadcasting right here, so you can say hi, goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
and we'll stop broadcasting. I got to make sure I park this correctly, because I can corrupt if I don't park it. This